'Tis Destination Uri, the morning programme. I'm Rowan Hanton. I've the joy of welcoming a Canadian lady, Elaine, into studio. Back in Ireland after a very long time. 74 was your last time here.
1975.
1975, and you're in search of Irish roots.
I am.
Where is your search taking you, Elaine?
Well, it's taking me to Glenbeig on Saturday.
Glenbeig. Where is
Yes.
that? Donegal, is it?
No.
Where is that?
No, it's in Dunmore.
Dunmore.
Dunamore.
Dunamore.
Yeah, near Dungannon.
Oh, yes. Now I'm with you.
Yes.
Yeah. And you think it's Ulster roots, yeah?
Well, I have three. I have the McKinney branch, the Core, and the Donnelly.
Is that C-O-R?
C-O-R-R.
Yeah, my grandparents were Core of Dundalk, just down here.
We're
and
cousins then.
they're a great singing family. Hello, cousin. How are you, cousin? It's gorgeous to meet you.
And I just met a McKinney cousin on the bus.
But Cores of Dundalk, they're the great singing family, the Cores
is
of
that
Ireland.
right?
Worldwide known, you know.
What happened
So-
to me then?
Well, we could sing, you know. Ah, la, la,
You have a
la.
lovely voice.
Let me hear yours
No,
now.
you don't want to hear it. No, honestly, you don't want to hear it.
How do you go about tracing your roots?
Well, it all started over 15 years ago when my nephew phoned and asked if I could tell him something about grandfather. And until then, all the conversations I had about grandfather were my grandfather.
Yes.
And I thought about it and I phoned him back and I said, now, do you mean your grandfather or my grandfather? And he said, my grandfather. Which then I understood he didn't even remember my father, who was alive when he was a small boy, but
Yes,
he didn't remember him anymore. And I said, well, Jerry had 17 brothers and sisters that lived, but I'll write something down.
I think so.
And
Yeah.
with the advent of the computer,
Yes.
and it having been something that my mother had always wanted to do, she had bits of paper all over the place and,
Yeah.
you know, behind pictures and
Yeah.
stuffed in drawers.
I know this.
And I picked up all the pieces of paper and started to put together something for my nephew.
Yeah.
But it becomes something of an obsession, you know. And
Facilitated by the internet. And it
very
makes it-
much so.
Yeah,
And I
know,
had a
I know.
program that would keep expanding and expanding.
Yes.
Whether your pencil broke or you had more
Yeah.
paper, it would keep growing.
Go-
And it now has over 1,400 people on it.
My goodness. In your lineage.
Yes.
My
Yes.
God, that's amazing.
Of course,
altogether.
those aren't all direct
No,
ancestors.
no.
Some of them are uncles, and
Yeah.
then you have a bit of their family as
Yeah,
well, you
yeah,
know? That's
yeah.
why the numbers are so large. When I look at my direct ancestors in a bloodline,
Yes.
I go my grandparents, their grandparents, their grandparents.
Yes.
And that's where I'm going.
What, what have you done during your life? What took you to Canada? Were you born in Canada?
Yes.
So your ancestors went to Canada from Ireland?
Yes.
How many generations back?
Well, it depends. Now, with the McKinneys, it's about 3 generations. With the Cores and Donnellys, my mother was born in Victoria. Her mother was born in Victoria, but her mother came to Victoria as a young woman with her mother.
Ah, yes.
So I'm the 5th generation.
Yes.
Or 5th generation in Victoria.
Yeah.
Only 3 generations were born there. 2
Yeah.
came from Ireland.
Yes.
And they were both born at Glenbeig.
Do you have any sense of your, maybe you can't possibly have, any sense of your Irishness?
Well, I'll tell you, when I finished yesterday, because yesterday I went to Derry and I walked around the walls.
Yes, of course.
And then I went to Dunluce Castle, and they have a
Wow.
lovely tea shop there with
Yeah.
a fire. And then I went on to the Giant's Causeway was next.
Yes.
Went down to the end of the Giant's Causeway and back up the hill, then got on the bus again because I'm just taking the Rambler.
Yeah.
And I went on to Carrick-a-Reid and went down,
Did you cross the bridge?
bridge
Hey, well done.
with the wind blowing. Got back at 9 o'clock last night, but when I got back on that last bus, my hair was out like this, and I was just exhausted but exhilarated. And I saw the bus driver and I said, "Home, James," and he said, "And don't spare the
The
horses."
horses, yes.
And I knew I was in the right place.
You had a very busy day, for goodness sake.
It was wonderful.
Yeah, yeah. And it's more of the same today.
Today is much more leisurely.
Yeah.
I've come down from Bangor, where I'm staying with Lycia's family.
Yeah, that's the American artist, the Canadian artist, Lycia Troughton.
That's it,
Yeah.
yes. And they have family there because Robert Troughton was born at Bangor.
Yes.
And so we're staying there. And then I've come down here to Newry, here with you, and then carrying on the Rambler. And I will finish up at, oh dear, it's just left me.
Oh, anyway, it's part of the Rambler Trail. You're off and doing things.
Yeah.
You should seek out today Slieve Gullion, the Forest Park, just out 5 miles out in the hills. It's a gorgeous place. If you can find it, go there and take it all in. Life continues to be exciting for you.
It does.
Yeah.
With slight gaps in the memory there. I can't believe it. Where am I ending up? At begins with a B. Help me.
B.
See, I'm doing the Mountains of Mourne.
Oh, yeah.
And then I end up at...
No.
Thank you.
Newcastle.
Of course.
But that's not a B. You love Newcastle.
I will. I haven't been there yet.
And the first manned flight in Ireland took place on Newcastle Beach.
Manned flight to where?
Aeroplane. Man took off in Ireland for the first time.
At Newcastle.
And was airborne.
For the length
wonderful off it went, under the shadow of the Slieve Donard, the big mountain there. And drop into the Slieve Donard Hotel when you're there and have a look around, because it's a gorgeous old railway hotel. Absolutely beautiful. Have tea there overlooking the ocean, and then go for a walk along the Strand as far as you can go.
All right.
And then come back again.
All right.
You must promise me you'll do that.
All right, I promise you.
You'll really enjoy it.
This is all good information.
Oh, of course it is.
You see, because it's a clean slate.
Yeah.
I don't know yet I didn't know what I
Yeah.
was going to do when I got to Newcastle,
Yeah.
just that I was going to go there. Now, you see, yesterday was much busier because I knew that I was going to go down the Giant's Causeway,
Yeah.
and I knew and those are very vigorous walks.
Of course.
Whereas today, it's going to be much more leisurely.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
What did you think of the Giant's Causeway?
It was fantastic.
Really?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And there are so many people down there that I wonder how they're ever going to get back up.
Some people.
They made it downhill.
Get back up again.
Carrick-a-Reid even more so.
But Carrick-a-Reid is exciting and wonderful. Let's be
yes.
honest about it.
But, yes.
for me, the Giant's Causeway, it's okay to see it, but not to go out of my way to see it. It's only no. But anyway, Carrick-a-Reid. Wow.
But those basalt pillars.
Yes, of course.
Enormous,
Yeah.
Going straight up like rock
And
candy.
did you climb up them?
Oh yeah.
Good girl. You got to the top of the pile.
Absolutely.
Wonderful, wonderful. What's it like being a Canadian in the modern world?
Well, I found out this morning that our gas is cheaper than yours.
It's a long way for me to go to get gas, I tell you.
Well, it depends where you are in Canada.
Yeah.
Now, I live in the country.
Lovely.
And we do have bears. There are people who wonder if we have bears. Yes, we do. There was one arrested for trying to climb in my bedroom window 2 years ago. I'm not joking.
A bear?
Yeah.
Brown bear. There he is.
No, it was a black bear.
A black bear. Well,
Yeah.
brown.
Yeah.
Black bear trying to get in.
Yeah.
And what did you were there? You open your eyes and you see a black bear trying to get in through the window.
Well, I have neighbors that feed the wildlife. And recently, town has introduced a bylaw to make it illegal to feed the wildlife because they're not pets.
No, and they'll come and they'll.
Yeah, you want to limit the contact with
You
them
do, of
for their
course.
own sake, because
Yeah.
you know what happens. The animals are the one that suffer in the long run because
Yeah.
that bear was taken away.
Yeah.
He was so accustomed to going to my neighbors and getting fed that, of course, that never happens at our home. But how is the bear to know?
Yeah, of
And
course.
it was a full moon, and for some reason I was still awake. It was 2 a.m, and I could see a light around from the full moon around my Venetian blinds.
Yes.
Only there was a shadow moving back and forth, top and bottom of the blind, so it was quite large. And I got out of bed knowing what to expect. I lifted the corner of the Venetian blinds and I could see a hairy belly button. And he was on his hind feet, you see. So
Wow.
I went around the corner of my bedroom door and I hammered on the glass. and he jumped 8 feet down into the bushes and took off.
Yeah.
But, you know, I had to report that he was trying to get in.
Of course.
And they brought a cage and they took him away. And he was, and I'm not kidding, he was really a nice bear.
Yeah.
I heard the trap slam closed, and I went out the next morning and I talked to him gently, and he was going, like, can't you help me?
Yeah.
That's how I felt, you know?
Yeah.
And so I talked to him until the officer got there and shot him with the tranquilizer.
That's a huge thing. I find, well, it's not a black bear story, but the other day I found a wild kitten in my house. I was in the garden area, and this thing was going mad, and I tried to help it, and it jumped into the engine compartment of my car. Thankfully, the engine was switched off at the time, and I eventually got it out. And then you put it into my mind as you spoke there. I put the creature, he didn't want to be there, but I put him here and didn't touch him. And he sat on my shoulder. And he sat there, and I'm going, yes, poor pussy, yes, 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 yes. And suddenly everything became peaceful.
They do.
And he walked around like you're a bear saying, please help me, please help me. There he was. And he was. Yeah. And every morning since, before I can move my car, I have to open the bonnet and have a look and make sure there's no cat in there, you know. So it's exciting, Canada. If you say Canada to me, I think forests, shimmering rivers, crystalline rivers. I think salmon and trout.
In places, but you know, they're fracking in the Rocky Mountains.
Yeah, you're worried fracking's bad, is it? Yeah, you think so?
It's terrible.
Really?
In the United States, they are fracking, and there are places where the water is so bad that you can light it with a torch. So I will vote for any government. There's an election coming up, mind you, it's federal.
Yeah.
I will vote for any government. I'm getting political.
It's all right.
That will do away
You're
with
allowed
fracking.
to.
You know, fracking is a terrible.
You see, we don't know those details of fracking here because for us, fracking hasn't left the womb of its creation in Ireland yet, and it seems to make sense if you put water down into the ground, pressurize it and take out the gas or whatever. That seems easy enough. But you're giving another take on it. It pollutes the water table.
Oh, it pollutes the water table terribly. There's all that pressure and it's forcing the gas, and it can actually travel under. And if you go to YouTube and put in fracking in the United States, you will find videos where people have got water running out of taps and they can light it with a torch.
My goodness.
You need to look
It's not
into
good.
that. Don't
Yeah,
let them do
fracking
it.
is not good. No. Thank you for that, because
You're welcome.
you're learning about Newcastle and first manned flight in Ireland. I'm learning about fracking today, which is good. Which is good. Now, thank you very much indeed. You've given us a new ambassador to Ireland from Canada.
Well, thank
He's the sergeant at arms.
You know,
the man who did his business when the bad person came in and started shooting.
Yeah.
Wasn't he a remarkable fellow?
Well, which sergeant? Sorry.
He was in the Parliament buildings. You remember you were attacked in the Parliament buildings in Canada. The gunman came in and shot all around him. And the sergeant of arms in the Parliament building drew his pistol and dealt with the issue. And it fascinated me because this man had been a long time away from any kind of active service. And he's quite a few years on his clock. He's getting on. But he had the presence of mind to deal with it and dealt with it and save people's lives.
I don't know anything about that.
You're joking.
No, I tend not to watch the news.
Well, you're very wise, because I spent my life reporting the news, and it's a very heavy burden on one's head. But this ended as a good news story, and then this hero man, he's appointed to Ireland as the Canadian ambassador.
What happened?
Yeah, eventually.
Oh, now I see the link.
Yeah,
you
so I was
lose me
making
for a moment
yeah.
there.
Oh, yeah. He's now with us.
I was just remembering though that Licia, who is having the Linden Memorial at Stormont.
At Stormont, yes.
Yeah, she asked me to mention that I was here in 1975.
Yeah.
Now, I worked in 1974 in England. I came over. I traveled around Europe.
Yes.
I was gone 9 months. I was 20.
Yeah.
I have the same pack sack and the same sleeping bag now as I did then. And I went around Europe with the Euro Pass. I worked in England. My income tax came back. Now I had a bit of money and I could travel over to Ireland and Scotland, which I did. But when I got to North Ireland, the troubles were so bad in 1975.
They were.
That I wasn't able to get out of the car. And when we drove through Belfast, I saw on the front of a shop It could have been an undertaker shop. It could have been a shoe shop. I don't know. It said C.E. McKinney. And that was my name and initials.
Wow.
And I couldn't get out of the car to find out what it was. So you see, that's why I had to come back.
Well,
but the
you're
shop's
back.
gone. You wouldn't know what shop it was, would you?
No, I don't.
On the main street.
No, I don't. I don't.
It could have been another cousin.
Could have been, yeah. Cousin. Tell me about your life. What did you work at in England?
Oh, in England. Oh, no, this is embarrassing. I was working at the Americana coffee bar of Whiteley's of Queensway. Now they've had a commercial because I think they're still there.
That's worth at least a free coffee, I tell you. Yeah. So you're a coffee person, yeah.
Yeah, that's all. And then I went to work for British Leyland.
Yeah.
But they were in a slump and we were throwing paper planes out of the 13th floor, which they called the 14th floor. Down into Baker Street.
Yeah, yeah. Goodness gracious. Tell me, your life. Have you been in love? You married? Did you have children? What was the story?
I didn't get married until I was 40.
40, yes.
Yeah, I thought I'd skip the first one because, you know, they have a tendency to marry twice over there.
They don't here. They're all Catholics.
So am I.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, yeah.
So when I got back from Europe the first time, what I wanted to do was be a child protection social worker.
Yes.
You see, so those were the children that I was mostly concerned with. It's a very difficult job, though, I must say. I went in and I got my degree, and after 3 years, I burned out. I was so disappointed with the system. I felt it handled the children very poorly.
Yeah.
And I had 40 foster brothers and sisters. My mother used to look after foster children. So I couldn't take what I saw the system doing to them, and I left. Then
you see, you seem to me to be a person of a big heart, of a good heart, and that you would burn yourself out because you would go for it on full cylinders.
I was having nightmares. Yeah. And so I had to leave, and then I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do, and my father had a moving and transfer business.
Yes.
And I saw a little ad in the paper to drive courier, and I went and saw them, and I've been doing route sheets and with a clipboard and driving since I was a baby.
Yeah.
And they just threw a bunch of parcels at me, and I delivered them in a couple of minutes, and they said, "You're hired." I ended up doing that for years, and I just loved it. So you could have your own dog in the truck.
Yes.
And there was no GPS then, so they couldn't keep track of you.
Yeah. But
I had a
GPS,
lovely time, and I was driving out in the country, and that's how I met my husband eventually.
Now, how did you meet your husband? Tell me.
Well,
go on.
I'd not seen that name before, and it was out in Souk, and I always phoned if it was in Souk because they might have a big dog.
Yes.
They might have a driveway too steep to get up.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
So I phoned early in the morning around 7 when I was leaving the warehouse.
Yeah.
And he said, which is what most people in Souk would say the first time they spoke to me, "I don't have a number up."
Yeah.
And I'd say, "You don't? Then how do you think I'm going to deliver your parcel?"
Yes.
And then there would be a pregnant pause.
Yes.
And then they would dash out with a can of paint and they would put a number on a rock or something similar. And this fellow said, "I'll meet you at the bottom of the driveway." And I said, "Fine, you be there at 9 a.m.
Yes.
And he was. And I looked at him standing there, and he looked like such an orphan that I felt sorry for him. I took pity on him. I could see he had a long driveway, and I said, "Would you like a ride up?"
Yeah.
Well, it was perpendicular, and by the time I got to the top, it was straight up and down, blast rock.
Yeah.
And it's bumping like this.
Sounds very Canadian.
And he was living in a 10 by 10. It was so romantic. No electricity, no running water, under the town water tower. And in the morning, because he hadn't built a house yet, I'm not kidding, he used to open the spigot at the bottom of the tower and have a shower.
Yeah, yeah.
And it appealed to me totally. And a couple of months later, I got that was October. And then a couple of months later, there was a call for a pickup. And his cousin on the same property, living in a bus, wanted me to take some Christmas parcels.
Yeah.
So I came up, I knew where I was going this time. I knew there was no dog. I got the Christmas parcels. And then he sent me a lovely little letter. And he said, "Would you like to go for a walk on the spit?" He said, "I'd like to experience the intrigue."
Wow.
So I wrote him a letter back and said, yes, I would. And that's how I met my husband.
That's a lovely story. You believe in falling in love.
I do.
Yeah. Are you still in love?
I am. 21 years now.
Yeah. The same one.
Married 21 years.
Yeah. I was married 45 years, and then she divorced me.
Oh,
After 45 years, you know, she was just right. She was a wise woman.
oh, was she? And is she happy?
She is, yeah.
And are you happy?
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's
yeah.
great.
We're going off to Spain together shortly. Why
great.
not? Why not? So your travels throughout the world, are you proud what makes you proud to be a Canadian?
What makes me proud to be a Canadian? I just think it's a country that's known for not running other people's business.
Yeah. You mind your own business.
Yeah, we do, and I think
But you still do things. As the world needs your
Yeah.
people, you go out and you do it.
That's right, and you know, Canada, you know, has its difficulties. I'm angry that they're fracking, you know, in the
Yes.
Rocky Mountains and
Oh my
things like that.
God.
You know, we're far from perfect, but I believe that not only are we tolerant of others and welcoming to others, but we don't expect other people to do what we want them to.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
I feel
yeah.
that there are some countries in the world, several countries in the world, and I won't name them.
Well, just down below you a little bit.
Well, yeah, it could
one.
be. You see, and they don't realize, you know, that that there are other ways of doing things.
Yeah.
Sometimes, I think. Now, I don't want to be critical.
No, but you the Canadian way, explore the alternatives and take a broader view of
I
things.
suppose one of the reasons I'm proud to be a Canadian is because other people always welcome me because of that fact.
Yeah.
Isn't that a wonderful
Yeah.
thing?
I love Canadians. They're great. Calgary, I think I'm natural. I'd be very at home, I believe, in Calgary. I haven't a clue what Calgary looks like, but I just sense I love the name Calgary. And I have this vision of blue sky and mountains
Yes.
somewhere close to Calgary.
Yes.
And I've never been there in this life anyway, you know.
They do have mountains adjacent to Calgary.
Yes.
When they look west, they can see the Rocky Mountains,
Wow.
which are really primarily in British Columbia.
Yes.
In Ontario, they think they have mountains. They call them the Laurentians.
Yeah,
And
yes.
when
yeah.
I took the train across Canada years ago, when you could do that, you could go right across the entire country in one go on the train. And I did that when I went to Europe the first time in
Yes.
1974. And eventually I'm in Ontario, and I said, "Where are the Laurentians? I'd like to see them." They said, "You've been through them."
Oh, yeah,
Compared to the Rocky
yeah.
Mountains, they're not
Do you know
much.
that the east coast of Canada is heavily populated with people from Northern Ireland? This was a landing stage. They went there.
And Scotland.
And Scotland, and the music of the fiddle is there, and the dance is there.
Oh, very much so.
And is there a Canadian sense, you know, as the French element in Canada, but is there any sense of the Irish in the East?
Absolutely.
You have that, yeah.
Oh, yes, and Scottish, though.
And Scottish, yeah.
Yeah, you would say, you know, Gaelic, Celtic, and the most wonderful accent and
Yeah.
sense of humor
Wow.
in the East.
Yeah.
Absolutely wonderful.
Yeah.
They're great people.
It sounds that way. Now, you mentioned your mother a little while ago.
Mm-hmm.
A kindly soul, looking after children.
She was. And
Tell-
she was
tell me about
tremendously,
her.
tremendously competent woman.
Yeah.
She was born in Victoria, but the family had bought property up at Portalburney. And actually, when she died, I said, I suppose you'd like your ashes in with Dad. And she said, "Oh, no, honey. Toss me off the top of Mount Aerosmith. It's the most beautiful place in the world." Now, by the time I was born, she was 42. And she had 4 boys before me. Youngest was 10 years older than me, and then all of these foster children. So she was no longer hiking up Mount Aerosmith. So it was like she gave me a gift from the grave, because after she died, I went up there.
Yes, of course.
And I asked every one of my brothers if they
Yeah.
wanted to come, and they didn't.
Yeah, but you were there and you
So I
said-
hiked up. Do you know it's over 5,000 feet? And it was a lovely journey. And when I tossed her off the top of Mount Aerosmith, there was a gentle breeze blowing.
lifting her out. Yeah.
No, it blew it back on me a little.
Your joke. Just a little.
Just like a hug.
Yeah.
It was lovely.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, but you know, she was trained to be a teacher and a nurse, but it was difficult to find employment at that time. And so the first year she worked as a teacher in Victoria, the entire class of 40 children were all disabled. And it was too much for her, just like social services was too
Yeah,
much for me.
yeah.
She could see it was wrong. And to get a job, doing something else as a teacher with, ordinary class.
Yes.
Certainly not that there's anything at all wrong with having disabled people in a class, but 40 is
Yeah.
not kind to them or
It's
the
not.
teacher.
No.
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 She would have had to move.
One teacher.
One teacher.
No,
So
but
she
you
would
need
have
more.
had to
Yeah.
move far away, and her
Yeah.
father said, no, come here. And he had a butcher shop and a sporting goods store.
Yeah.
And my mother was an amazing swimmer, an unbelievable swimmer, and hunter. She taught all my brothers to hunt. And she had
For the
all
pot.
kinds of trophies, for trap shooting. There was an incubator in my bedroom when I grew up, and we kept chickens, and yet we lived in the city. So my mother was just and then all these foster children. And it's so wonderful for me. Today's the 19th.
It is, yeah.
It's my foster sister Elaine's birthday today. And I don't think she'll be watching this program,
Well, she
but
can
happy
Google, she can
birthday.
Google it. Happy birthday,
Elaine.
Elaine. And I'm listening to you talk about your mum, and please see this as the compliment it is for your mother. I've got goosebumps, physical goosebumps, listening to you talk about this woman of caring.
Yeah, she was
And
wonderful.
it just is a joy to hear you speak about her. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm going to ask you about your mother now.
Wow, well, it's interesting. That's interesting. She died far too early, 57 when she died.
Oh.
She influenced my life amazingly.
I'm sure.
Simple, quiet goodness.
Yeah.
And I have, a large part of my life, I've been involved in outreach in situations to people in Africa, to people in India, to people in homeless communities.
Yeah.
And I believe it was my mother who wound up the spring and pointed me out there to do that.
Yeah.
It just didn't come out of thin air.
No.
It came from the woman who raised me. I left her home, the parental home, at 16.
And I was 17.
I went to Belfast and started to study there. And I would then have seen little enough of them after that. I went off across the world in the Merchant Navy into the Far East and into Africa. But a big influence on my life, a very big influence on my life. And as I said, died far too young. And where does good go when good dies?
Good doesn't die.
Tell me about that philosophy.
Well, when you look back at your life, don't you remember the good things more than the bad? Do you actually remember what you were mad about 20 years ago?
No, I don't.
No.
But I remember what was good in my life
Of
20
course.
years ago.
That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. You're a Catholic, you say. You believe in a God. Not that religion and spirituality are the same thing. They're very different.
But I have to confess here now, because I am the pianist organist at my church. I built their webpage.
Yeah.
Truly. I'm very devoted to my church. They're a lovely church.
Yeah.
But when I go to Port Alberni, they're not as friendly as I'm accustomed.
Yes.
I want my tea and coffee after service and to talk to the
Of course.
congregation.
Of course.
And they don't do that, so I join the Anglican and Lutherans.
That's okay.
Yeah, but the music at the Catholic Church, my church, and I'm the pianist organist.
Yeah.
It's not quite as upbeat as it could be sometimes. So on Friday night, I jam with the Baptist. And I get one Sunday off a month, the first Sunday of the month. And that's the Sunday that the Baptists take communion.
Yes.
So I always go join the Baptists at their church.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
My grandson, one of my grandchildren, Michael McCartan, a great fellow, a great musician.
Yeah.
He's 19.
Yeah.
He flew off to New York a week ago. And he's the organist at the local church in the monastery here. He flew off to New York to spend the summer teaching Down syndrome children how to play music in New York.
Wonderful.
Yeah. So that's very proud of him. He's a good lad. When I was in Spain recently, down in the south of Spain, I was talking to the people of the Anglican community, the Church of England, and he was telling me, he said, "Well, we don't have a church of our own, but the Catholics do. And when the Catholics finish with their church on the Sunday, we rent it from them. And then we have our service in the Catholic Church."
And you know something? I feel that we're all in the same boat and we all need to bail and paddle.
You got it.
And A lot of churches are joining up now because of they're having less attendance.
Yes,
they're
yeah.
less able to pay the
Yeah.
bills, and because of money now.
Yeah.
That root of all evil.
Wow.
They are having to join together.
Yeah, which is
so
good.
sometimes
good.
it's a good thing. Sometimes being poor, having hard times,
Yeah.
force people
together.
to get together.
Yeah, when, you know.
And that's a good thing.
Yeah. Your friend the Pope,
Yeah.
he's opposed
Francis.
to fracking as well.
I'm sure he is.
He's issued an encyclical today.
Has he?
What kind of world do we want to leave to our children?
Wonderful.
We are a massive pile of filth. That's how he described it.
He is so right.
He's a good guy, isn't he?
He speaks for the common people.
He speaks for the common man. That's like the opening line of a song, the common people. When are you going to grow up?
Oh, I thought this was going to be a friendly interview.
But there's a child jumping around you and jumping out of you. You're a wonderful,
Thank
it's a
you
free
so
spirit,
much,
dare I
Rowan.
say.
Thank you, Rowan, and you too. You know
Elaine,
that.
God bless you. Take care.
You too.
Take care.
Thank
Lovely
you.
seeing you.
Thank you.